In 2010, Cartoon Network did something nobody asked for. It tried to be Disney Channel. Yes, the network that gave us Samurai Jack, Teen Titans, and Courage the Cowardly Dog decided it wanted to join the glittery ranks of Hannah Montana, Wizards of Waverly Place, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Victorious, and iCarly. Disney and Nickelodeon were raking in cash with pop song teen comedies and squeaky clean stars who doubled as merchandise machines. So Cartoon Network said, sure, we can do that, and dove headfirst into what would become one of the most misguided experiments in its history, CN Real, their live-action phase. And from that chaos, one shining gem actually emerged, a show that was way too smart, too dark, and too good for the network it landed on. That show was Tower Prep. Created by Batman the Animated Series mastermind Paul Dini, Tower Prep followed Ian Archer, played by a very Pretty Little Liars Drew Van Acker, a rebellious teen who wakes up in a strange boarding school with no memory of how he got there. There's no internet, no contact with the outside world, just a bunch of other gifted students who've all been recruited, or more accurately, imprisoned, because they possess strange abilities. Ian can instantly mimic any physical movement he sees. His new friends each have their own skills: mind reading, perfect memory, analytical brilliance, and together they form a little underground resistance inside this eerie elite academy. But this wasn't some quirky after-school romp. Tower Prep was layered with mystery, paranoia, and danger. Lurking in the woods were the gnomes, silent, faceless figures in red uniforms stalking anyone who tried to escape. The school's enforcers, known as Red Fang, were just as menacing, whispery threats and rumors of kids who vanished after breaking the rules. The teachers were polite one moment and sinister the next, hinting at psychological experiments, secret factions, and a bigger conspiracy behind the school's creation. It was X-Men meets Lost meets The Prisoner, but set in a prep school thriller that somehow aired right between Ben 10 reruns and Total Drama Island. It was moody, cinematic, clever, the kind of show that would have absolutely thrived on a streaming platform today. But in 2010, it was stuck on Cartoon Network, a channel best known for animated slapstick. Kids were confused, parents were unsettled, and the actual teenagers who would have loved it? They didn't even know it existed. Because by that age, most of them had long written off Cartoon Network as for kids. And that, right there, was the tragedy. Tower Prep was aimed at an audience that wasn't watching, airing on a network that didn't understand it, competing against shows that couldn't be more different. While Disney had magical hijinks and laugh tracks, Cartoon Network was pushing a show about teenagers trapped in a psychological experiment. Hannah Montana was singing about best of both worlds. Tower Prep was about trying to escape a government-funded brainwashing facility. These were not the same markets. But even with that mismatch, Tower Prep was good. Really good. The writing was tight, the tone consistent, and the characters balanced beautifully. The girls were smart, layered, and resourceful, but not at the expense of the boys. It wasn't a case of sidelining one gender for another. They worked in tandem, toe-to-toe, equals in both the mystery and the emotional arcs. It was exactly the kind of representation audiences now praise shows for having. Unfortunately, Cartoon Network's executives at the time didn't see it that way. According to creator Paul Dini, the network told him that the girls in Tower Prep were too smart, too interesting, and that the show was attracting too many female viewers. Their actual feedback was that the girls needed to be one step behind the boys. In their minds, the show was failing because it wasn't masculine enough. You can't make this up. And of course, there was the usual corporate panic. Live-action shows were expensive. Merchandise wasn't selling because there was no merchandise. The ratings skewed older and more female than the network expected, and instead of seeing that as an opportunity, executives saw it as a problem. So they did what directionless, nervous executives always do. They canceled it. After just one season, 13 episodes, Tower Prep vanished without a proper ending. No finale, no closure, nothing. Just another entry in Cartoon Network's short-lived, deeply awkward live-action era. The network immediately backpedaled, scrapped all its live-action plans, and went running back to cartoons. Within a year, Adventure Time and Regular Show premiered, and CN quietly buried the evidence that it had ever tried to be Disney Channel. But here's the thing. Tower Prep didn't fail because it was bad. It failed because Cartoon Network was the wrong home for it. Put it on the CW and it would have built a passionate teen fandom. Drop it on Netflix today and it would be trending for weeks. It was serialized, stylish, smart, the kind of show that rewards binge watching and theorizing. It was too good for Cartoon Network, too mature for kids, too thoughtful for execs, and too overlooked by the teens who would have actually loved it. In another timeline, Tower Prep gets 4 seasons, a finale that ties up its mysteries and the cult following it deserves. In this one, it got handed to a network that didn't know what to do with it, run by executives terrified of smart female characters and confused by the very concept of tone. So yes, there have been plenty of bad cancellations in TV history. Firefly, Freaks and Geeks, Symbionic Titan. But Tower Prep? That one stings extra hard because it wasn't just canceled, it was misunderstood from the moment it premiered. Cartoon Network wanted its own Hannah Montana. What it accidentally made was its own Lost. And instead of realizing what it had, it panicked, blamed the audience, and shut it down. In the end, Tower Prep wasn't too weird or too niche or too smart for viewers. It was just too smart for the people in charge.